All right, hello again. I wanted to talk about using MBTI 16 types in your dating life and how to use it to your best, compatible matches, for instance. I do personally adhere to the golden pair, silver pair, bronze pair idea held by C.S. Joseph. C.S. Joseph himself, though, was an ENTP married to an ESTP. And so obviously there is some circumstances where you wouldn't pursue this. He himself, which is common for ENTPs and INTJs not really to get along at first. However, so he had issues, dating INTJ females and pretty much found that it was coming across as selfish. And to an FE user, that is typically the case. When you're dealing with FI, you're just like, man, these people are really selfish. They're totally always about their own personal feelings, and they're always about what they want, and they're always about, it just seems like me. Because FE users are kind of like doormats in a lot of ways. We usually develop like codependency issues. But then again, there's also a lot of issues with manipulation with FE users, and so that's the things that FI users get mad about, because FI users, make decisions based on how they feel, and FE users make decisions based on how other people feel. And so there's a lot of manipulation for an FE user to control the scenario by making you feel a certain way through certain actions. And so this can cause some discrepancies and some, mistrust issues when it comes to NJs, for instance. I myself personally, I have dated all 4 NJs, and there's definitely some benefits to each one. I'm currently with an ENTJ, and there's definitely a lot of benefit to being with my silver pair. But I have to be absolutely honest, there was a lot of things that really, I almost bounced literally the first month of getting here to Texas because, again, the FI seemed selfish to me, and it was just it was just weird to deal with. And so, but when it comes to golden pairs, silver pairs, and bronze pairs, these pairings are for mature adults. When you're, in your 20s, in your teens, more than likely who you're going to date is going to be someone in your own quadra, or, somewhat similar to your same temperament, things like that, because you're going to find this camaraderie, and it's comfortable because they think and they act and they feel like you do. And so this is kind of how it is, and you're also kind of exploring your sexuality at a young age, so it's not really that big of a deal. And so you're not really thinking that way. But for mature people who want to grow and develop cognitive functions in their own ego, for instance, you're going to need to go outside of your quadrant. You're going to need to go outside your temperament for a minute, most of the time. And so when you're dealing with dating, outside of your own same cognitive function stacks, you're going to have conflict there, because FI and FE view the world very differently. This is polar opposite, and so FI users don't really understand why anybody would do something if they don't feel like it. It's very hard for them to comprehend. And so they just assume that the FE user, for instance, is doing it because they want to and because they feel like it. And it's their idea. And that's not necessarily the case. FE users, for a lot of times, will have sex when they don't want to, just because they don't want to make you hurt, or they don't want to make you feel bad, or they'll just make you breakfast even though they don't really want to, and things like that, just out of kind of like a guilt trip obligation to themselves. And this can be very confusing to an FI user, because FI users essentially do things because they want to. So in this case, FI users, for the most part, in my opinion, come across as they're a lot more genuine people, while the FE user is not necessarily genuine, because a lot of the times they're just doing it out of guilt, obligation, especially their FESI, obligations, because they want, peace in the household, they want peace in the relationship, and they don't want a bunch of turmoil emotionally. And so they will just bite the bullet and just do things, even though deep down they don't really want to, or deep down they don't feel like doing it, but they just do it anyways. And this has been, I've had long conversations with some ENTJ friends about this, and he was just shocked. You know, he's like, wait, so you'll have sex with somebody even you don't want to? And I was like, yeah, I mean, how long? I mean, it's, you know, you're getting the quickie done, you know, we're talking 10 minutes of inconvenience. If you're not in the mood, who gives a crap, you know? It makes the other person happy, why not? You know, and to him, he's just like, no, I would never do that, you know? And so to me, sex, I think, is also a lot more emotional to an FI user, because FE wants to absorb that FI feelings. And so how the FI user is getting off on it is really important emotionally, to have that bond and connection. And so this could be something to think about. And so, yeah, and so we'll talk about silver pears and things like that. And because it's all about cognitive development and cognitive functions and growth as humans, you know, not necessarily what's